In BC, there is an incredible variety of ecosystems and natural resources, and it's not something we can take for granted. And there's no resource more important to our economy, our health, our well-being, than fresh, clean water. This is something our government takes very seriously, with investments, with research, with policy. And I want to acknowledge the critical role environmental NGOs and Indigenous communities have played in keeping the importance of freshwater protections at the top of the public agenda. Canada, as you know, has approximately 20% of the world's fresh water. But during these past 3 decades, the stress on Canada's freshwater has been enormous. It's coming from population growth, changes in land use, and climate change impacts. It's important now more than ever to protect and improve Canada's freshwater together. So today I'm thrilled to announce over $1 million to support the work of 12 BC environmental groups who are working on local projects around the province to protect our precious provincial freshwater. This is part of a total of $3.3 million over the next 4 years to support 41 new projects across Canada under the Eco-Action Community Funding Program au cours des 4 prochaines années. And this is not an Ottawa Knows Best program. These projects are local. They are community-driven, and they're making a difference in the communities where people live. I want to take a moment to thank you all for coming here today, but more so for the work that you're doing to protect our fresh water and Canadian nature. Today, we're delighted to support Wild Coast Ecological Society, a local non-for-profit group in Burnaby that is doing great work on degraded ecosystems through research, restoration, and stewardship. It will receive over $96,000 to address water quality in the Brunette River watershed, an important watershed for the people of Vancouver and Burnaby. We've also funded a past project with Wild Coast Ecological Society through Eco-Action right here at Trout Lake. We hear an awful lot of news these days about Canada's resources. Well, the Canadian resource that every single living Canadian, not to mention the rest of the world, requires above all is clean air and clean water. Every order of government needs to pitch in, from the smallest local public utility to the highest office in the land. Because we're all connected, and no one system exists in isolation. Canada pushes to protect nature comes as we prepare to welcome the world for a major UN conference on biodiversity this December in Montreal. Called COP15, the UN Conference of Parties meeting on biodiversity is a landmark conference which will involve thousands of delegates from around the world to decide on a new global framework to protect species and nature. It is our chance to show our leadership on protecting nature and push for greater commitments internationally. Canada has set the ambitious goal of conserving and protecting 30% of lands and waters by 2030, and we need all provinces, territories, and organizations in Canada to rally behind these goals. Taking action on water protection will provide clean water for generations to come. And any action we take to conserve nature will have positive impacts on our climate action efforts, which will help nature flourish.
Thank you very much to Environment and Climate Change Canada for giving us this opportunity today. Wild Coast Ecological Society is a registered BC nonprofit society who works to restore natural spaces and education for the public. Ecological restoration essentially helps degraded habitats return to a more natural state. And in this process, we improve ecosystem services that benefit people and wildlife. Together, we work with ecologists to restore these natural areas. We provide many stewardship events to connect the community and workshops and school programs to educate all ages. Through past environment and climate change funding, we have made a difference here at Trout Lake by improving habitat for birds, mammals, and other wildlife. This has been a jumping off point for us to be able to continue work at Trout Lake and helped us form a supportive relationship with the City of Vancouver and some amazing community volunteers. Together, we have made a substantial difference, and we're going to continue our work here to ensure that all of the wildlife in the area have a substantial advantage by using this space as it was originally intended in nature. More recently, EcoAction funding has given us an opportunity to restore some areas along the Brunette River watershed. This is an area in Burnaby that has been consumed by many invasive plants. Together, we are going to be saving trees and many other native species by removing these harmful invasives and providing many more other things like habitat structures as well for wildlife. We will also be working to protect areas around the headwaters of salmon-bearing streams, because we know that these areas surrounding these freshwater sources actually help to make a substantial difference for all of the animals in them. And all of our creeks are connected to our rivers, to our oceans, essentially. We will be providing many volunteer opportunities to engage the local community and educational programs for hundreds of school children so that they can be directly involved in the restoration process, both in class and outdoors. This will ultimately make a difference for wildlife, for our freshwater resources, and inspire the next generation to care for their environment. This has been made possible again through funding through Environment and Climate Change Canada and our support from the City of Burnaby. We need to continue working to provide funding and resources for restoration, to protect wildlife, education, and ultimately inspire people to continue conserving these areas. Many restoration projects we do also help to protect infrastructure from extreme events due to climate change, and it's very important to continue this work in the future. Funding like this is imperative for us and other organizations to continue improving our local ecosystems and educate others about the natural world. I would like to thank you again for this EcoAction funding opportunity.